Welcome back, ladies and gentlemen, to the 2023 Mississippi Hall of Fame Classic. We're going to start right in here on the back nine of Center City at hole 10, par 3, 318 feet. Although I'm not really sure if that's the actual distance, because every time I play this hole, it always feels like it's somewhere around 480 feet. But that's maybe just because I'm terrible. We've just got this really nice, simple, just stock hyzer shot. You know, just make it through the gap and you'll be good. Kyle Gray up first here.
Oh yeah. Flare up that hill.
Great improvement over the first round where he at first available. So he will have a circle 2 look at the basket from there. Simeon lining up the forehand roller. And that looks like it went into a pretty good spot. Probably also circle 2. We got Cameron Roberts. Opting for this flip up / flex forehand. That he just barely missed the line and hit a tree right at the end. I think it would have been parked if it didn't hit that tree. We've got Calvin also going forehand roller here, going with much more of a chop angle. Unfortunately, hitting the first tree and not progressing very far up the fairway. And here we have Hunter Leathers. Missing that first tree, but getting the one right behind it. He'll have a look at the basket, but it'll be a very, very difficult approach with that downhill right behind the basket. Calvin absolutely lacing that one, weaving it right through those trees. Yeah, and Hunter putting a nice bit of touch on that. He should be in a fantastic position. Kyle, very similar to where he was in round 1, just a little further away from the basket. Opting for a nice safe run there. Should be right under the basket. This is a hole where if you're not parked for the 2, you don't run it. It's just nothing but danger. Hole 10 playing very difficult. Simeon in a great spot, but still opting to just pitch up. Hole 10 played almost a half a stroke over par for the field. So definitely not a gimme. Ooh, and Calvin, just a little left side. It looks like. Hunter nice and center. Calvin having to tap out for the 4. And we should see the rest of our card tap in their pars. And hole 11, par 3, 269 feet. We have this nice straight shot here. And then we go all the way to the left. Super difficult shot here. If you recall, in round 1, we had, I believe, only 1 birdie on our card. And that was from about 60 or 70 feet. Oh, no, we had 2. I'm sorry. Brandon Hudson also got the birdie from a fantastic shot. So let's see what our round 2 pros can do. Kyle giving this one fantastic height, just barely catching that last little brushy tree there. Simeon messing with me here a little bit. Nah, not on purpose. Opting for a very stable disc, probably a mutant, and just kind of hoping he gets further to the left. I really like Brandon's play in the first round, of just keeping it high and stable. But that does bring in all those little brushy trees. And if that didn't cut roll, that should be out in the open for Cameron. I'm surprised that I didn't see any forehand rollers. They've opted for that for hole 10, but not 11, despite 11, I think, playing a bit better for that. I think probably the initial shot here, especially with that hill, doesn't play well for the roller. Oh, this is very inside. Yeah. Calvin just getting knocked down somewhere similar to where Kyle was, just better footing. And going a little deep with his scramble. But he should have a look at the basket, and he's a very good putter when he's on his game, so. Kyle, nice little touchy layup there. Here we got Cameron. Looks like it did cut roll just a little bit, but he's in a fine spot to get up and down. Almost banging in the 2 from distance. Here we've got Hunter from like, this has got to be only like 45, 50 feet maybe? Oh, very committed putt there. Right on the line, just a little high. And here we have Simeon. This is fantastic. This is like edge of circle 1, maybe just inside the circle. Nice 2 on this hole. Both Schultz making the 2 from outside the circle. I would say that's outside the circle. Both Schultz making the 2 on this hole. Very, very good. This hole played. How did this hole play? This hole played even. Wow. So just averaged to 3. So definitely making strokes on folks here when you get the 2. And I suspect we shall see the rest of our card tap in for their 3s. And here we are, everybody's least favorite hole, hole 12, par 3, 286 feet, with just a dead straight shot slightly uphill, so plays closer to 310, I would say. But really, you're just trying to get something that gets lucky through all of these trees and finds its way into the circle. But as you can see from that drone flight, it is a very difficult task. And you are more likely to kick left or kick right into even more trees. As we see Simeon opting for a little bit of a flex line, it looked like, and of course kicking left into the trees. Kyle opting for a pretty nice looking just straight flippy play there. Looked like it just went straight down the fairway. I think I heard a tree hit, but Kyle decided to get in front of the camera, so we couldn't tell. Cameron's throwing style of the tomahawk really plays well for this hole, I would say, because it does bob and weave so much. I guess it's kind of a 50-50 on if you bob and weave a lot, will you hit a tree or will you just find your way through? But he seemed to find his way out and be in a pretty decent spot. Oh, and this is a beautiful shot from Hunter. That should be in the circle. That is a fantastic shot. And here we've got Calvin. Opting for a nice flip up forehand. That should be in a fantastic spot too. And here we have Simeon. Not in the greatest of places. As you see, if you get off the fairway, you've got all these little pencil trees in your way. Opting for a flex forehand. Unfortunately, hitting the tree before it starts panning out. Playing very, very smart. Just laying up. Not trying to run it. Not bringing the double bogey into play here. Kyle making up a stroke on the leader. Great two. Great shot on this hole. Hole 12 playing almost a half a stroke over par, 0.32. So Cameron helping that bring that percentage a little bit lower. Calvin to follow suit. Hunter also helping to bring that awesome, just amazing shot. That was fantastic. And Simeon with the bogey. Hole 13, par 3, 338 feet. Playing a little bit shorter than that because of how much downhill you have to get through. So we're basically throwing from the top of a large hill down to the bottom of this little valley here. So just a dead straight shot, and that's not even joking. Kyle Gray, I believe that this is a fierce. Hitting the basket half a foot short of an ace. Hunter early left. Favorable skip, but just hitting and sitting is not where you want to be. You'd really like to kick out. The ceiling, I think, a little too low for Cameron to go for his tomahawk, opting for the forehand and just a little too high. Calvin with a nice looking whoa, what kind of skip was that? Okay. Alright, with the fantastic looking forehand with the skip. And Simeon opting for the straight backhand. Little high. Nice little bit of flip though. Oh. Little bit of a roll. This is a huge downhill rollaway potential. So that may or may not be in a good spot. And here we have Cameron throwing from the ampad. Not because he wanted to, but because that's where his disc landed. And also getting a suspicious roll that hopefully did not go all the way down the hill. And Hunter in a really, really tough spot. I hate to say it, but I think the play is to just lay up. And he got a pretty good result from that hill to just sit right there in the middle with a good look at the basket. Simeon not wanting to risk that huge rollaway potential, opting to just lay up. Playing very smart. Cameron just a little undercommitted, I would say. It is difficult with these hills to give it the height it needs, but that will leave him with a 40-footer uphill look. I think I said Calvin, but I meant Cameron. Calvin also a little undercommitted. Great line. Nothing can take that away from you. And Kyle rolled all the way down the hill. Just sat. Easy tap in 3. Hole 13, almost playing even. 0.09. Oh, and Cameron very committed. Just too high.
Yeah. I mean, that's kind of fair, seeing it's all water down, but still.
He will unfortunately have to settle for a tap in double bogey. Hunter making good for that par. Simeon hopefully to follow suit. This is, as you can see, the basket's almost a full himself higher than him. Has to putt almost directly up. Kyle tapping in his 3, Cameron tapping in his double. And Calvin to tap in his 3 as well. And here we arrive at hole 14, par 3, 419 feet, the kind of distance you'd expect from a Pro Tour level course, but here we are on a not Pro Tour level course, although it is probably one of the best courses here in Mississippi, at least in my opinion. Hole 14, par 3, 419 feet. We've got this huge valley to throw through, so we're basically throwing level, maybe a little slightly downhill from tee pad to basket, but just this big valley to throw through. And up first we've got Kyle Gray, opting for a nice little turnover shot, asking for it to just sit. Should be in an okay spot. I wouldn't complain too much about that. Hole 14 playing slightly under par, 2.95 average. So all of our pros definitely wanting to get that too. Hunter coming up with the big bushy tree. He will be right in the middle of the fairway with a tough approach with all those guardian trees around the basket. Calvin putting some nice distance on this one, nice and wide. That should be in a great spot. Simeon, I kind of lost this one. I'll be honest with you, but I guess we'll see where that landed because I couldn't see anything. Cameron opting for the tomahawk play. Love to see it. And if you had trouble following Simeon's, you'll have even less trouble finding this one because that's right in the middle of the fairway. Thankfully, we saw that one land. Here we've got Hunter right in the thick of the bushy stuff. Yeah, that's a great shot. That should be a tap-in 3 for him. Kyle, right where Chad was for the first round. Catching a little bit of shrubbery. He will be caught a little short, but that should be a 15 or so footer. Here we've got Simeon. This is somewhere around like 50 or so feet, maybe 60. Lucky to not be in the middle of all the trees. And he still makes it. Very, very nice putt there from that distance. And Calvin from just a little bit closer than that, so don't get big putted. Good luck. And that looked like such a casual, like, kind of toss for Simeon too. And Calvin very committed, going over what looked, from our perspective, over the basket. Cameron just a little low ceiling, kind of makes that very understandable. Kyle cashing in his 3. Cameron, Hunter, and Calvin to follow suit as we move on to hole 15. Hole 15, par 4, 519 feet. We've got this initial gap to hit, and here, right about here's the landing spot that you'll want to be at to open up the forehand as you go to the wrong basket location, because again, we didn't have time to film. But it's essentially the same shot, just reversed up the hill. Up first, we've got Simeon. Making the initial gap, should be in a fantastic spot at the landing zone. Kyle Gray. I think he only has the one pink shirt. I don't remember seeing him wear anything else. Very wide out of the hand. And getting so lucky to not hit anything and still end up in the fairway. Well aware that he got away with something there. Let's see how 100 smashes this one. Very frustrated with himself on that one. Just coming up a little bit short. Or, excuse me, a little inside, not short. Calvin absolutely has the distance. Too much distance. He will be very close to where Thunder was during the first round. Looks like Cameron opting for just a regular turnover forehand here. I think honestly that plays really well for his game with the way that the fairway here shapes. If you just got that one a little higher or a little outside that tree. Here we've got Calvin. Very cut off from where you want to be. Opting for what looks like a Firebird. That's definitely a putt, like Kyle says. That's a little outside. Probably 40 or so feet. Cameron got very, very fortunate to be not in the woods on this shot. Oh, unfortunate roll there from the woods. Kyle, and I know this is a Firebird. I found this many a time for him.
Oh yeah.
Yeah, and that's a great spot. And here we have Hunter. I know he was very disappointed off the tee, but this is a great spot to be in. Coming up just a little bit short. That should be probably 25, 20 feet. And Simeon absolutely crushed this one out here. I was going to say smash, but I gotta change up the adjectives a little bit. Coming up a little bit short. Catching some of that little shrubbery there. Shrubbery. Cameron, very cut off, opting for the just pitching up to the gap. I think he wanted a little bit more distance. Simeon also opting to just lay up. Calvin having to get through all of these trees. Oh, just a little bit short left. Cameron catching one there.
Good catch.
Yeah, good catch from the basket, as Kyle says. Hunter with a little bit of a razz from the road there, right as he was putting. That would definitely throw me off my game. Oh, man. Struggling a bit now. Making good for the bogey comeback. Very unhappy to lose that stroke here. Whoa. And a very strange miss from Calvin. And yeah, I don't know what to say about that. Great 3 from Kyle here. But wow. That is very unfortunate for Calvin. This hole playing slightly over par, 4.7 or 4.27, excuse me. Here we arrive at hole 16, par 3, 407 feet. The drone is going to be going to one of my favorite pin locations. Unfortunately, not the location we are going to now. We are still at the same location as round 1. We are just down that hill into the just inside the woods. Kyle Gray just smoothing this one out there.
Yeah, nice shot.
Coming up just a little short of the mouth, but that should be in a good position. Simeon a little early. Ooh, by little I mean a lot early. Very unfortunate. Cameron catching all the greenery. And he will have a 60 or 70 or so footer look at the basket. This looks like a crank from Hunter.
Yeah.
Oh man, that was way worse than it needed to be. There was absolutely no reason for it to kick that far left. Calvin, I liked the shot out of his hand, but I think the disc choice was probably letting him down. Hunter here, frustration throw, actually ends up in a fantastic spot. Nothing wrong with that shot at all. That is absolutely parked. Calvin opting for the forehand roller, being so cut off. He will be very short of the gap, probably about 50 or 60 feet to the pin from there. Simeon opting for this flex forehand line with what I'm assuming is a very overstable disc given the angle he's lining up here. Or it's just going to hold that same angle.
Good stop. Good stop.
That should be in a pretty good spot. Calvin laying up an unfortunate roll away from the basket. This is nightmare scenario right here. I think at this point in the game, he's aware he can't win, but he still wants to get the best standing he can get. Cameron with a good run at it. He should have he'll have a little bit of a comebacker from there. very, very undercommitted from Kyle there. Oh, I said Hunter was parked. He's got a little bit of a tester here. But from where he was, my God, that was a crush. Making good on the par putt. Hole 16, playing a half a stroke over par. Very difficult hole. And Kyle with probably the same distance as the initial putt, so just got to give it the height and give it the line. And a great comeback putt from Kyle. Good correction. Calvin. Left side chains. Oh my goodness, a double bogey. That is not the result you want to see on the one of the last holes of the tournament. And Simeon just keeping it cool, keeping it smooth. And Cameron to tap in his 3. Hole 17, the ace hole, par 3, 191 feet, and this time the drone is going the correct way. And it's just a slight, it's a dead straight, slight left to right shot, but plays really well for the forehand. Kyle playing for that skip. He will be absolutely parked. Simeon hitting one of the early trees there. Enemy at the gates, as they would say. Cameron giving that a great run. He will also be parked. Hole 17 playing a half a stroke under par, 2.45. So this is one that you definitely need to get to stay in the mix. Nice throw from Hunter there. A little bit of just a forward skip, so he'll have a bit of an obstructed look. Calvin not really taking his time. Still great result though, parked. Simeon opting for the lean out, knee on the knee forehand, whatever you want to call that. Great ground play. Great throw from him. Looks like Hunter caught a little bit of the shrubbery there and just stopped him in his tracks. Very committed putt there. Just not able to string them together. Cameron with the very, very bad footing. Getting the 2. Hunter tapping out. Very frustrated at this point. Kyle trying to mark his disc, but the hill is so steep that he can't actually mark it without it falling down the hill. Still making good on the 2. Simeon getting really close with that marker throw there. Calvin making good on his 2, and Simeon to tap in his par. And we arrive at the final hole. Hole 18, par 3, 563 feet. No, that is the correct distance. And this is one of the more difficult par 3s that we've got. Playing almost a stroke over par, 3.82 average. Kyle opting for this beautiful straight low shot. Getting some good skip play there. Should be an easy 3 from there. Cameron barely missing one of the initial trees. He will also have a pretty easy forehand approach to the basket. Very high out of Calvin's hand, but beautiful shot here. Full flight. That is past that big pine tree. That is like 450 feet at least. Simeon barely missing that right tree. A little too much turn. He will also have to have a little bit of a weird angle approach to the basket. And let's see what Hunter does. Oh, hitting that tree that Simeon barely missed. Making it out a fair distance, though. Not much to say about that. A little bit early release there. And this grass is super thick. Extremely bad footing here. Yeah, and a good recovery shot from Hunter there. Put himself inside the circle. Yeah, and Cameron also following suit with a great approach shot. I was going to say recovery, but that's an approach shot. Excuse me. Simeon opting for the backhand instead of the forehand. And he will have a tap-in three. And Kyle to follow suit. Oh, Calvin just getting caught up early. Can't catch a break on this very difficult course here. Hunter making the bogey putt. Get him off the course. He is tired. Stick a fork in him. He is done. And let me tell you, it was hot. What the heck? Calvin getting no love. It was extremely hot when we were playing. It was like 95 degrees with 80% humidity. It was not fun. Cameron making gun on his three. Calvin tapping out as well. Kyle tapping out as well. And your 2023 Mississippi Hall of Fame Classic champion, Simeon Schultz, with a blistering 10 down. Getting some love from his fellow card mates. Congratulations, Simeon. Thank you all, to you, the viewers, for watching. I hope to catch you on the next tournament, which I believe will be the Dog Days Open. Nice returning feature here. I want to give a huge shout out to my Patreons. I want to thank Dustin West, John Reed, and Sean Trapp, and a thank you to the sponsor of this coverage, Brandon Hudson. So thank you all for watching. Hope to catch you next time.